you're getting Achilles pain or shin splints from running on hard grounds, so this is especially for footballers using football boots on hard grounds, it could be your footwear, and here is why. So during preseason or even throughout the year, if you're gonna go for runs on the footpath or something like that, you might be using a shoe with an elevated heel, which is fine. So when you're elevating your heel, it's requiring less range of motion in your ankles because your heels aren't all the way down to the ground anymore. With the less range of motion in your ankles means that when your calves are at full stretch, you don't quite have that mobility and the strength at end range with your calves, which is why you might start pulling up with tight Achilles after using a football boot that is flat. So if the heel isn't elevated and the heel is the same height as the forefoot, because the grounds are hard and the studs aren't going into the ground like they should be, is putting a whole lot of pressure on the calf because you've been training with runners that aren't allowing you to get that full range of motion in the ankle. So an idea could be to moving to a shoe like an Ultra, which has the same height heel as the forefoot. So it does require a little bit more range of motion in the ankle, which also will train the calf at full stretch. It's not a good idea to go to these cold turkey. You do have to ease off the high heel shoe gradually. So maybe just alternating sessions for a while, or even going like a 2-to-1 until you start to get used to it. The other thing you could do is get a football boot with a high heel. So even though the grounds are hard and the studs aren't going into the ground, the heel of the Asics are higher than the forefoot. So it will be more similar to the running shoes that you've been using during preseason. So I might even ask the guys at the Footy Club that do wear Asics, they might be getting a little bit less shin splint and calf problems because their heels are elevated, which aren't forcing their ankles to be in full range of motion. So if you watched the video this far, you might already be suffering with some of those things. So let's try to undo some of that soreness. If you have a barbell, you can set this up to in between your knee and your hip height, so you can get your leg up onto the bar. Then there's lots of pressure that's going to be going through your calf. You're going to find a hot spot, so somewhere where it's really tight compared to the rest. And then when you find that spot, which is really tight, you're going to do circles with your ankle. So what you're doing is you're just making the calf longer and shorter. So you're sort of flossing around that area, and then just sit there for 2 to 3 minutes until the pain starts to ease, and then try to find another spot. The tissue should not hurt to touch. So a good protocol with the barbell, or even something lighter like a foam roller, is about 10 minutes, so 5 minutes each leg, just 2 or 3 times per week. I would say that the shoes with the lower heels are going to be more towards the Achilles side and less with the shin splint side. However, something like this with more foam is going to be better for the shin splints. So especially throughout the year, if you can afford to maybe warm up and do half the session when there's not too much agility in runners, or even some sort of trail shoe that has a little bit of grip on the bottom, that way you're using a lot of foam, so you're reducing the amount of pressure that's going through your leg to try to avoid shin splints. You can't quite use the bar the same way to roll out your shins as you would your calves, so you can get something like this off Amazon for like $1. It's supposed to be a neck massager, but you can use these balls to pinch the spot where you're sore in the shin. So if you can sort of find that area and then just pinch that together, same thing. You're gonna find a hot spot that shouldn't hurt to touch, but it does. And then just try to sit there, again, do circles with the ankle until the pain starts to subside. Maybe 2 to 3 minutes per hot spot, and then just find another spot, do the other leg. But it's so important to stay consistent with this. It's not gonna be a quick fix over weeks or months. It might take 6 months to a year to get back to 100% again, but I promise it's going to be worth it.